Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, the Army awards a $100 million contract for next generation command and control, and a new House bill eyes digitization to fix arcane federal permitting processes. It's Monday, July 21st, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. Anduril has scored a nearly $100 million contract to continue experimentation on the Army's Next Generation Command and Control program, the service announced Friday. NGC-2, as it's called, one of the Army's top priorities, is a clean slate design for how the service communicates on the battlefield and passes data for operations, providing commanders and units a new approach to information sharing, and C2 through agile and software-based architectures. The Army plans to spend almost $3 billion on the effort over the next fiscal year across procurement and research and development funds. The $99.6 million Other Transaction Authority agreement will span 11 months and cover Anduril's work to prototype a system for 4th Infantry Division, which will scale the capability all the way up to the division level. Prior to this, it was outfitted to an armored battalion as well as higher headquarters elements and tested at Project Convergence Capstone 5 at Fort Irwin, California in March. Anduril's partners on the contract include Palantir, StriveWorks, Gavini, Instant Connect Enterprise, Research Innovations Incorporated, and Microsoft, the company said in a statement on Friday. The OTA requires the team to provide an integrated and scalable suite of command and control warfighting capabilities across hardware, software, and applications, all through a common and integrated data layer, the Army said. The Army has pushed teams of industry partners to work on the NGC-2 effort, calling for self-organized teams. Anduril had been working previously on the NGC-2 effort to produce a prototype that was tested at Project Convergence along with other vendors. The prototype award is not the end of the road for other vendors seeking entry into the NGC-2 program. The Army said additional vendors can seek to participate through an open commercial solutions offering, with additional OTAs expected to be awarded later in fiscal 2026 for prototyping with other units such as 25th Infantry Division and 3rd Corps Headquarters. In other news, the notoriously slow federal permitting process would get a technological jumpstart under a bill introduced last Thursday by a bipartisan pair of House lawmakers. The E-Permit Act from Representatives Dusty Johnson, a Republican of South Dakota, and Scott Peters, a Democrat of California, calls for the digitization of federal permitting, pushing the government to improve environmental reviews and authorizations through the embrace of interactive digital and cloud-based platforms. Aimed at reducing processing times for federally mandated National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, reviews, the E-Permit Act aligns with an April executive order from President Donald Trump to modernize permitting technology and the subsequent launch of a Permitting Technology Action Plan. The bill calls on the chair of the Council on Environmental Quality, or CEQ, to consult with the Chief Information Officers Council, the Office of Management and Budget, the Permitting Improvement Steering Council, and other relevant stakeholders and agencies on new data standards to inform environmental reviews and authorizations. That group would also be charged with settling on fresh concepts, formats, and protocols to be included in those reviews, and establishing a, quote, shared vocabulary and software systems that will support data interoperability and automatic data exchange between federal agencies, unquote, per the bill text. An authorization portal would be made available to the public under the bill, designed with interoperability in mind. The database would also follow Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, or FedRAMP, guidelines and stringent cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency requirements. Additionally, prototype tools would be built to accelerate complex reviews, enable data sharing between agencies, and facilitate automated applications, reviews, and authorizations. The CIO Council would have a major role to play in that piece of the legislation, along with the head of the General Services Administration, the CEQ chair, OMB, and other stakeholders. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, as always, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.